Today, I'm delighted to say that I'm in conversation with Dave Caswell. Dave Caswell is the author of Jovi's Jumper, and he has worked in the area of international community development since 2004. He holds a master's degree in Intercultural Studies with a concentration on children at risk. And he's lived and worked in Uganda, India, North America, and South Africa. And he wrote his first book, Kolo and the Mighty Mangoes, as a tool to help children in Uganda think and learn about making healthy life choices and to support them in their character development. The book has been very well received there, as well as here in the UK, particularly in schools and school groups. In his free time, he enjoys reading, running, and watching and playing football. And Jovi's Jumper is a really heartwarming children's book that explores themes of generosity, kindness, and the joy of giving. The story follows Jovi, a young boy who comes across an old jumper, and he embarks on a journey of self-discovery and learning the true value of sharing and compassion. With engaging storytelling and vibrant illustrations, Jovi's Jumper encourages young readers to think about empathy, a skill that we need lots more of, and the impact of small acts of kindness. So let's jump in and find out more about Jovi's Jumper and Dave. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Sue. It's great to be with you.
So listen, tell us a little bit about your journey as an author.
Well, I've worked with children for probably the last 20, 30 years in a professional and kind of volunteer capacity. And I guess one of the tools that I've used with working with children is to tell stories and to
Yes.
it's a great way even for adults, I think.
Yes.
Great way of communicating stories, and particularly for children. And so when I was working in Uganda, running a community development project, working with families and with children, I wanted to do something that would connect with the children and kind of teach themes around forgiveness, around kindness, around self-esteem, around self-worth. And the best way that I found to do that was to do it in story form. And so as part of a manual that I put together, I had this section that was a story with discussion questions at the end for the leaders of the project to discuss with the children and families.
Yes.
And that eventually became my first book. So I wrote this story as part of a training manual that people in the project were using, but it was so well received, I was encouraged to publish it as a book in itself. So that's really where it all started for me.
And how long ago was that, Dave?
That was goodness, that's probably getting on for probably 7 or 8 years ago now.
Yeah. How interesting, because storytelling is a lovely way to sort of pass on messages. I'm always saying that to parents as well. Read a story and, it's not so intense, and then you can start chatting around it, can't you?
Absolutely.
So what was the name of the
idea.
what was the name of the first story that you wrote then, the first book that you wrote?
So that was called Kolo and the Mighty Mangoes.
Right.
And it's based in a East African village. Kolo moves to a new village with his mother, and he has to settle in and find friends. And he joins a local football team. Football's very big in Africa, and so that was one way of engaging the kids. And so it's all about him settling into this team and playing in a tournament, and lots of things go wrong, and he has to kind of work his way through that with his friends and make decisions. So that was the first book I wrote, and then subsequently I wrote 2 other books in the same series. So there's 3 books in the Kolo and the Mighty Mango series now.
Oh, how lovely. So what do you most love about writing for children?
I think it's the fact that I think children are so kind of innocent and they've not been shaped or um, I don't know what's the word, being shaped or impacted negatively by the world like the rest of us have. I
Yes.
think they're kind of they're open to anything really, and I think if you can talk to them and teach them stuff in terms of making healthy life choices and making
Yeah.
decisions at that age,
Yes.
more likely to be impacted by that, and that
Mm.
more likely to shape their
Mm.
character. So I think that's that's a
Mm.
big draw for working with children and particularly the age that I write for, 8 to 12.
That's what I was going to just ask you to tell
Yeah.
the listeners or the people watching what age it's roughly for. Because sometimes when they're a bit younger, you can read it to them. Sometimes when they're a bit older, they can read it for themselves, can't they? But that's sort of it's a very impressionable, wonderful age, isn't
It
it?
is, isn't it? It is. And I think, you'll know, of course, from your parenting work and child development, the early years are really important, but then those ages up to and around puberty, you get kind of a second chance, don't you, to
Yes. Yeah.
help shape
Yeah.
children. And I think um, that's why I kind of chose that age group,
Mm.
because I think even if children had a difficult upbringing up to that point, you get another opportunity to help shape them in a better direction.
Yeah, in a positive way. I want to
Yeah.
talk to you about Jovi's Jumper because it's such a lovely book and it's very unique and it's very heartfelt. What was the inspiration behind it?
Um, well, I work with a volunteer with a youth organisation, and the kids there. One of the games they love is dodgeball, which is a
Oh,
key.
I used to love that too. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a key. It's a key game, and it's a key theme in the book. And so I really wrote it with them in mind. So the dodgeball was the thing I started with, and then I built all the stuff around that being a central part of the story. Um, but I wanted to teach kids, not necessarily the kids that I work with, but kids in general
Mm.
um, about being kind, about being loving, about having self-worth and self-esteem and all those sorts of themes, which I see is a struggle in, I've worked
Yeah.
in international development and I see, it's a big issue for kids, that whole area.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think, the inspiration with the kids that I work with in a volunteer capacity,
Yeah.
kind of branching out from that, kids with these problems of low self-esteem, etc., was
Oh, definitely. I
quite
mean, I've
in-
written the Can Do Kids Journal as well around
in-
that whole thing about having confidence, and I think the world needs more kindness, definitely now, doesn't it? It seems very divisive. And whenever people are listening to this, social media in particular is impacting on children's well-being and mental health, as well as parents as well. So with the book, with Jovi's Jumper, it's a central role, isn't it? What does it represent?
the jumper.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of used it as a vehicle for Jovi to explore himself and to kind of think about his choices and why he
Mm.
makes them. So without giving too much away, the jumper it kind of helps and hinders Jovi at the same time. So he sees it as a way to win the dodgeball tournament and to defeat his nemesis, who gets bullied by this particular boy. So he sees it as that, but actually, it causes him some more problems as he goes along. And I think um, uh, the ultimate message of the stories is actually everything that Jovi needed was inside of him all along. And the
Yes.
jumper just helped him to realize that.
See, I love that bit. I love that idea. That's what I was leading you towards in a way, isn't it? So that actually you learn that resilience and the things that you need are often within you and you just need to bring them out. I mean, that is that the key message that you hope kids and parents will get from reading the book?
Yeah, I think so. And also, I hope that in all the books that I write, I hope that the children see themselves in
Mm.
the characters,
Yeah.
not just the central characters, but there's some characters are a bit quirky, a bit different to others. There's bullies, there's all
Mm.
sorts of things that kids will meet, in their
Yeah.
lives,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And my hope is that they'll see, a situation that they've been in or a circumstance that they've had to face,
Mm.
and through what they've read, be able to make a healthy life choice, and a decision around that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I hope they see themselves in the story, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, is it in schools? Do you go into schools and talk about it or read to children as well, or do schools pick it up, or libraries? Because it's a message that can go right the way through, can't it, childhood?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been in I've been to a few schools, so I've done writing workshops and assemblies and Q&A
Yes.
sessions
Oh,
in various
lovely.
schools. But that's something I'd like to do a lot more, because I
Yes.
think those are the places where
You can
those
reach.
messages can really,
Yeah, yeah,
get
absolutely.
integrated.
And they're great then for starting conversations in the classrooms as well with the
Absolutely.
teachers, aren't they?
Well,
So,
well, they're designed in that way. Sorry,
no, go
Sue.
ahead.
Yeah, they're
We'll put,
designed in that way.
yes.
To be discussion starters, and for themes to be picked up and developed.
Yeah, which is why I like them. And I think they're really very good. I mean, what are the common themes through the different books then for people who are very interested now in discovering you as an author? Tell us a little bit briefly about the different sort of themes and the titles of the books, because they can get them on Amazon, can't they?
Yeah, they're available on Amazon and other
Yeah, wherever
from
you get your books
wherever you
from.
get your books from.
Yeah. But give
Absolutely,
us the
yeah.
titles and give us a bit of a theme about each one so we can go
Yeah,
and have a look.
yeah. So the first one is Colo and the Mighty Mangoes, which I
Yeah.
mentioned earlier.
Mm.
The second one in the series is Colo and the Mango Park Mystery. And the third one in that series is Colo and the Legend of Capra Cave. And the themes in there, all this stuff I've talked about,
Mm.
really about forgiveness, about self-esteem, about kindness, about confidence, about friendship, about leadership. There's all those themes throughout those books. And also I've kind of addressed I hope in a gentle way, themes around human trafficking, themes around
Yes.
domestic violence,
Yes.
themes around refugees. There's all
Mm.
sorts of themes that are in the book, very gentle and very subtle,
Yes.
but
Yes.
there for parents and teachers to pick up on and discuss with children. Um, and then the fourth book is called Martha Crumble and the Dendro Doorway, which is kind of a Harry Potter, Narnia type story, but about nature and about the importance of nature, the importance of trees, and
Mhm.
all of that sort of stuff. So
Yeah.
themes in that one, and then of course Jovi's Jumper, which has those themes around kindness and being, a good community member and being kind
Mm.
to one another.
But that's why I'm drawn to your books, because they are gentle in the sense of they don't come at you, but those themes that you're describing there are so important.
Absolutely.
And children need to be aware of them, and they can be conversation starters at home or in school. But it's great to address those themes too, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, and particularly working, the Colo stories are based in Africa, and working in those contexts. Those
Yeah.
are things that I've, encountered and worked within, the human trafficking, domestic violence,
Yeah.
um, different structured families, stepchildren, step parents, all those sorts of themes, and they're in those books. So
Yeah.
although they're based in an African context, I think those themes are
Universal, aren't
relevant. They are, aren't they?
they? Yeah.
Relevant. And
Yeah.
the important thing, I think, Sue, is how children react to that and how children understand that is really
Yes.
important. Because we
Yeah.
have a view and a perspective as adults, but children would see it slightly different. And I think it's important to hit them at that sort
Yeah.
of age so they can understand what's happening and know what to do about it.
Oh, that's why I love them. I think they're themes that are so universal and so important. What are you currently working on? Are you working on another book or a
I
project? What are you doing at the moment?
I am. I've got the second book in the Martha Crumble series
Right.
that I'm writing at the moment. So I'm around 8,000 words shy of finishing that, I think. So that will be the next one, hopefully out later on in this year.
Gosh, so it's quite a process, isn't it? I mean, how long do you spend on each book, would you reckon?
Um, it depends. I'll probably say 6 months to a year.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. It's a big commitment to one's time, isn't it?
it is, and you've got other stuff going on as
Yeah,
well.
of course,
So we kind of find those spaces.
sure. Let me ask you then, as we come to a close, what was your favourite book as a child?
Oh, the one book I remember as a child was The Wishing Chair by Enid Blyton.
I know, yes, I liked Enid Blyton's books like that.
Yeah, yeah, I did. I absolutely loved that. That's the one I always remember. And I
Yeah.
absolutely love they go off on adventures and this magic chair takes them to different places. So I really loved that. And I think then getting a little bit older, I enjoyed Danny, Champion of the World by Roald Dahl.
Oh, yes.
That was
Yeah.
another favorite of mine.
Yeah. Yeah, wonderful. Inspiration comes from everywhere, doesn't it?
It does.
Tell
Absolutely.
me, tell me then, where can people find you, find more out about you? Where are your social media handles and where can they buy your books?
Yeah, well, the best place is my website. So
Yeah,
they
which
can
is
www.davecaswellauthor.com.
lovely.
And that has, I mean, that's the best place because that has all the social media handles. It has,
Right. Yeah.
email address that people can contact me. So all the information is there. So that's probably the best place for people to go.
Lovely. Well, it's been an inspiration. I love your books. I love the themes in them. And I love the way that they start conversations for parents and teachers and children, because that's what we need more of in the world. So thanks very much, Dave, for your time today.
Thank you, Sue. Thanks so much.